tomato cages made of reinforcement wire mesh for concrete construction. The best tomato cages in the world. At the end of this video, I will show you how to make cages 7, 8, even 10 foot tall. My father made tomato cages 30 years ago of this material that are still in service today. I just made 15 cages for a neighbor lady whose garden I plowed, and I'm going to show you the techniques that I used, which are very efficient in cranking out some tomato cages. Working with the reinforcement wire is kind of dangerous. I'm halfway through this roll. In the beginning, it wants to spring out on you a lot quicker than you're expecting. Towards the end, you've got to fight to get it to unroll at all, and then it wants to snap back on you, so just be careful for that. I kind of exaggerated moving my hand along each wire. You want to count out 10 wires and put that at the top so that you're kind of like right in a good working order. If you'll notice, the blade of my Sawzall is on the opposite side of the wire that I'm cutting along, so it's actually a lot safer than it may look because the blade's on the other side of the wire from my hand. So go ahead and cut down that line, and that should be a nice uniform cut, laying the blade against the wire that would be running vertically to make all your horizontal cuts, and pull that on it. I like to do all my cutting at once and get everything laid out assembly line fashion, pointed in the same direction. Once all the cutting is done, you're going to want to get a pair of channel locks and start the bending to fasten the two sides together. Since all the wires were cut to the same length, if you set them in the throat of the channel locks to the same depth, all the bends should be uniform. I think you're going to find out if you use the channel locks exactly as I'm showing here and not turned in the other direction, you're going to find this is the easiest way to get it done. So just go ahead and bend all the wires like halfway. Once all the wires are bent halfway, it's real easy just to hook them all together and have the form of the cage starting to take shape. Okay, now once again, using the channel locks just as I am, you'll find it easy to finish crimping everything together. If you're going to cut off the last rung of the cage and use wires to stab down into the ground to hold the cage, you don't have to fasten the last wire. If you're going to stake the cage to or tie the cage to a stake, go ahead and crimp it all together. If you're going to tie your tomato cage to a stake, you're done. If you want to use the wires of the cage to poke down in the ground, then you need to cut the bottom rung off. When you do this, since you've compressed and shaped this cage, be careful the thing doesn't fly up in your face when you cut that off there. Alright, you may want to push on your cage a little bit to get it into a nice roundness. It may be a little oblong where you've join the two sides together and crimping it with the channel locks. I took a full 5-foot tomato cage and I cut it into 2 sections, 2 foot tall each. I placed those on top of a 5-foot tall cage. That gives me a 7-foot tall cage. If you did 3-foot section and a 2-foot section, you'd have a 7-foot and an 8-foot cage, or take a whole cage and put it on top of a whole cage and you'd have a 10-foot tall cage. I can only reach 7 feet.
Peace.